Professor Narendra Rustagi. Sir, I will like to request you to please introduce yourself first and then continue. Thank you. And I also want to thank other speakers who are waiting so that we will be giving this time to Professor Narendra Rustagi.
Thank you very much, Sabaji and Somasundaramji, for inviting me and for accommodating. I am Professor Narendra Rustagi. I am a professor in the School of Business at Howard University and in Washington, D.C., and I'm also director of the Center for Global Business Studies. I would like to thank Mr. Somasundaram and the team for organizing such an awesome event and for your invitation. It's a very important and timely issue about the future of work. In my opinion, it entails both the technology side and the human side. One of the key issues shaping the future of work is our ability to trust and work with each other. To make the point in this short period of 15 or less minutes, I would start with our decision-making process and then provide or make some observations from history to make the point about the importance of learning and teaching pluralism for growth. So with that, I would share my presentation.
Yeah.
So what we can talk about is two scenarios. One is where rules are well defined and where rules are not defined, and real life is somewhere in between. And by rules well defined, I mean, the laws work and then you work within the laws, and no rules is like you attack someone and then you don't care. So invariably in our decision-making process, we are balancing our value system with our interests. For example, we, may be willing to die like children of Guru Tegh Bahadur were when forced to change their religion. Most of us would not go that far, would even be willing to accept or give bribe and so on. So now take the case of Emperor Akbar. Fatwa was issued that he was a heretic, rebellion broke out. He had major scholars declare him a Khalifa and was able to suppress rebellion. Come to King Saud of Saudi Arabia, when he was giving contract for oil exploration, religious scholars said he shouldn't be doing that, but he was able to have the Wahhabi Council issue a fatwa and he was able to go ahead with the contracts. Taliban's
Sir,
today.
I'm sorry to disturb. Sir, sorry to disturb. Are you presenting your screen?
Yeah.
We are not able to see actually.
Sorry about that. I did not share.
I was actually waiting for you to take a pause.
Yeah, my fault. I should have shared the screen. Sorry about that.
No,
so I'll be brief. How much time do you think
now we are able to see it? Yeah.
Yeah. So
you
how much
have
time
8 minutes.
8 minutes? Okay.
8 to 10 minutes.
Okay. 8. All right. I'll try to finish in that period.
You can have in the presentation mode. Yes. Now it is.
Yeah. So what I was talking about is that we make decisions and we balance our value system. Like for some things, we would be willing to lay our lives, and at the other extreme, we may be willing to give a bribe for reservation or take it. And the examples I gave were of Emperor Akbar and Taliban. But if we so if we take this, the reason I brought this up is to put some time context to it. As you know, in the ancient Indian system, the times were by the position of stars. So using the position of stars that are listed for Bhagwan Ram's return to Ayodhya, they were able to date it to 5114 BC. Then Mahabharat war in 3067 BC. Chanakya, who wrote Arthashastra, which is sort of the ruling philosophy, about 400 BC. So what we are essentially talking about is that one should be a karma yogi, and that is one of the most effective needs for spiritual development and for one person to live with. And that is something, at the core, people try to emulate. We, again, are individuals living in the real world, and so we are, again, trying to balance it somewhere. And this is something from Bhagavad Gita. A lot of you may have heard of it, that you should focus on the task and not on the fruits of action, because that's not something you control. Now, Chanakya said that government by the rule of law, which alone can guarantee the security of life and welfare of people, and that in turn depends on the discipline of the king. In other words, he focused on economic growth that depends on the rule of law. And so they focused more on what is the right thing to do. And what is the right thing to do was to be provided by, they called Brahmins or the learned people at the time, and the learned council of ministers to decide what to do. And so in essence, what they're talking was lead a dharmic life or righteous life and define your own dharma. Everyone has to define what it is that what they are trying to do or should do. And that is what they should focus on. Now, then, when we come to what was happening in ancient India versus what was proposed in the ancient Indian literature and by Chanakya versus Machiavelli, Chanakya talked about dharmic war, do the right way of doing things, while Machiavelli said winning by any means necessary. So that was the difference between the two. When you are focused more on whatever is in my interest, you don't focus on what is the right thing to do. And regarding right thing, in Indian scriptures, they say, Ekam Sat Vipra Bhavda Vasanti, that, truth is one, and learned people say it in different ways. So all of us should be focusing on what is the right thing to do. And when we are focused on the end result that we want to win, if we need to destroy, we destroy, then the knowledge base gets destroyed. For example, Nalanda, the largest university of the time, was destroyed. Most of the knowledge base that existed was destroyed because the invaders wanted to purely rule. They didn't care about the knowledge base that existed. They said, whatever we know is the right thing. And that base was destroyed. And if they had worked together, then more of it would have survived and would have benefited both them and India. So you take another example, more recent, British India. Ayurveda, which was the ruling method of treating at the time, was classified as B grade compared to allopathy, which was A grade. In fact, under the Madras Medical Registration Act, Ayurveda physicians, the Veds, were even denied, registration. So, and then you look at the country that did that is British India. Little over 100 years ago, they controlled 1/4 of the land area. Population under their control was roughly 1/4. Today, with population less than 0.5%, land area of 1%. So you can see how the rule declined. And if you look at their economic situation today, it's pretty bad. Their healthcare system is in trouble. Most of their tax revenue goes for paying interest. As opposed to that, look at ancient India that thrived. This was Mauryan Empire, 250 BCE, spread of Buddhism, Jainism that grew. The focus was more on evolution rather than destruction. And so the influence stayed for over a millennium compared to the British influence, which didn't last, or lasted for a little over 100 or 100 to 200 years. Same thing about the Mughal influence, didn't last over 200 years in terms of absolute control. So coming to the present time, to stay within the time frame, we see the Hamas-led attacks. There is, some of the UN employees were fired for their involvement in the attack. In Bangladesh, this is recent. People were killed, temples vandalized. Of course, there are people who are supporting, but we want to see why that happened. When you look at Bangladesh, they banned Ahmadiyya literature. And they forcibly converted large number of Hindus. The people demonstrating today may be the ones who are children of those forced conversions as well. So when you, and also don't have enough time to get into that. So what I was trying to say there was, that was my alarm to say that I'm trying to stay within 8 minutes, but since you had given me another couple of minutes, I'll just wrap up. So yes. The point I was making was, if you look at the country level, look at what Pakistan had done. They had also banned Ahmadiyyas, kicked out their Nobel laureate. So what happens is the knowledge base and the human component of it leaves the country. The economic situation deteriorate. Compare that to India, where that didn't happen. So that's where okay. I would stop, and would like to thank you again for the opportunity. And yes. I'll try to post it on my LinkedIn page, not this, the complete version if I could. So thank you.
Yeah, sure. That will definitely help. Yeah, thank you so much for your inputs. And hello.
Yeah, hello. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you very
thank
much.
You for
really
the inputs.
appreciate
yeah.
it.